Oh my goodness. Sorry, my hair's wet. Holy cow. Hi guys. Hold on a second. I don't know if that's improved at all. I just got in from outside and got a shower. Hi. Oh, this is Top Chat. Okay, are we going to see this or not? Oh, goodness sakes. Okay. This is weird. I had to pop out the chat. So, well, hello. You're here early. Yes, you are. Turn the irrigation off a foot. Oh, you're good. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, you've been getting a lot of rain lately. I've noticed that. Just like heading into the northeast up there. That's so great. Hey, Julie. I mean, April showers in July. Oh, my goodness, yes. Oh, you know what? I need to get my glasses on so I can see. There we go. Probably fog them up. Julie, oh, you did get a couple drops today. Oh, new fires? No, that's no good. That is no good. It's the main fire next. Yes, that is so good. That was great, Julia. You guys didn't get that fire. Yep. Had a foot of rain, Dave. Oh my goodness. We have had an inch. I'm going to be generous with an inch and a half since March total. And it's like, that is so, we're supposed to have already been through our rainy season, which is generally, 12 to 15 inches, something like that, probably. And we haven't been getting anything. So, hey, Alicia, how are you? Good evening. Good evening. Thanks, Dave. I'm a little behind. I'm trying to read everything here. You guys were really chatty tonight. That's awesome. Hey, Kiri. You know what? I sent it out a half hour beforehand, so I was hoping that, yes, I can see the chat. Hey, Ricky. Hello. You got some rain? Awesome. There's some rain coming down from North Dakota, like down the Red River Valley and everything. And it's split. I mean, it's a huge system and it's split. And one has gone to the east of us and one is going to the west of us. And we're here in this little tunnel in between. They're not getting any rain. Oh my goodness. No, I haven't gotten any here. So, oh, Carrie, it's better late than never for those notifications, right? So, hey, well, Dave, I'm hoping that things are going to balance out more now for you. That'll be good. Yeah, we had a low snow winter this year too, and now this spring and summer just so dry. So I'm hoping that our winter. I mean, I don't want 8 feet of snow, but at the same time, it would be good to get a wet fall actually. But you had 2 winters of low snow. Oh yes. Thanks, Ricky. Yes, a lot of the rivers, little creeks have dried up. Rivers are low. Lakes are very low. They're probably, I don't know what they are around you, Ricky, but around here they're at least 4 or 5 feet below their normal water level. At least that. I mean, shorelines are just way out now. So, hi, Teresa. Hello. That is true, Dave. And for me, even though I'm in a town, we don't have city water, so there's no like city water tower or anything like that. So we're all on our own wells. However, we are surrounded by farms too that all have their irrigators going. This irrigation is a big thing in this area, kind of what I was talking about tonight. But some of one farmer in particular has actually drilled more wells than the DNR allows. And the DNR is the Department of Natural Resources. And so they keep track of all that to make sure that everybody is getting kind of equal water. I understand that the farmers need to irrigate so they don't lose their crops, because it's a huge, not only an investment, but that's their income. And so I get it. But this one is tapped into the town aquifer. So when they're running it and everything, and there have been many times I've run out of water, and I have a 77-foot well, which is pretty deep for out here. But there's a house across the street that has more, like a 30-foot, 25, 30-foot well or something like that. And so they, without doing anything, they run out in their house. And so it's like a perpetual problem. And that's not good, for one person to dig into, for a farm to dig into a city aquifer. That's not right. So it's like, I don't know. It's, anyway, kind of a situation there. So yeah, Ricky, the Mississippi is low. So, yeah, Dave, they can end up destroying an aquifer. And so summers that we have a lot of rain, I don't worry about that as much, just because not only do they not have to irrigate as often, but it's replenishing our aquifers. And so, it's going to filter back down in there and get the water levels back up and everything. But when it's as dry as it is here now, it's pretty tough. You grew up in Sacramento in 5th grade. Teacher put out a BB of April showers, bring May flowers. That's funny, Kiri. Oh, the student who spoke up about that. That's funny. That's great. We farms are all older families when you're retired, so 375. That's a nice deep well. Yeah, my well is deeper than most people around here. So, we've got a pretty good water level down there, but it's still, yeah, you guys, in some of your areas, you have to really go deep. 120 feet. I know I'm not too far out from having to drill a new well, but I don't look forward to that. And code has changed so much that I don't know where they would even put it. I don't know where they drill it, because I already have problems with even trying to get my septic to code because of the wells around here and the different things. So I'm just kind of holding on until, I eventually sell, and hopefully things will hold up till then, because I do not look forward to having that expense. Oh my goodness. So more of a Canadian saying. Rains in the Midwest and East, but not West Coast. Yeah. Yeah, West Coast is so dry. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Ooh, Dave, that's not much water at all. Hydrofracking at some point. Ooh. Okay. I didn't even know they did that for wells. That's pretty cool. Hey, Heather. Hello. How are you? Oh, yeah, Alicia, I've heard that since I was little. So, not just a Canadian saying, it's an old time saying. Yes, it's been very hot. We're cranking it up again. This whole week is going to be in the mid to upper 90s. And I was outside working for about 7 hours today. So I'm like maxed for the week for the heat. I think, and it's like I've gone through, I don't know, 2 or 3 glasses of water, like 3 Powerades, and it's just like trying to hydrate as much as I can. But and I'm trying to only water the garden like every other day or something like that. But I don't know. It's very, very, it's hot and dry. So yeah, exactly, Ricky. Absolutely. You blast rock with huge pressure to crack it, speed up the water movement. Okay. Is it a common practice or only when normal well drilling doesn't work and aquifers are drying up? So do they, I mean, it's not like a standard practice anymore, but is it like an emergency practice or something? Oh, it's cheaper. Okay, that's true. Yeah, if you have to drill really deep. Yeah, I heard people have to drill, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of feet deep, like 800, 900 feet. It's like, whew, I just can't even imagine that. Let's see, where are we here? You ended up waiting 30 minutes for an ambulance yesterday. Oh no. Yeah, the heat. I hope you have air conditioning, Alicia, to help keep you that. You live on a foothill, so your water table is deep. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's some downsides to having a view, aren't there? Oh, Alicia, I hope you get doing better. So, I was a few days ago weeding using my hori hori and sliced right over my hand here with a serrated edge, and of course it was like dirty with dirt, and my hand was dirty. It was bled pretty good, but it's actually now healing up pretty good. I don't know if you can see it right there. And the last couple of days I've been putting just straight calendula oil on it, and it's almost like you can almost see it just like healing up and just closing up and settling down. So it's like, oh yeah, the serrated, those things are sharp, you guys, the hori horis. Oh my goodness. I know they're supposed to be for just like digging in the dirt and getting weeds and stuff, but they are sharp. They're definitely very sharp. Oh, Julie, thank you. So, yes, hot, dry, and drought. What am I planting? I did a little bit more. I got my bed outside of my house. Last year I had in all herbs and half of them died. So I've been rebuilding that whole bed because it was falling apart anyway, and too late to get herbs in at this point, and I couldn't find any in the store. So I just planted a few annuals in there and got all that done. So that's kind of what I was planting. My chocolate mint I finally got out in the garden, and I have it in the main garden in my herb bed there. So hopefully that will take off and get going. And then I've been working on the front of the house on those are just flower beds there, but just trying to kind of get a little bit of curb appeal there, and they're beds that have been totally neglected for about 3 or 4 years, and so I needed to work on those and getting close to finishing, but anyway, so that's a good idea, Heather. Yep. You cut yourself teaching a sawmill blade. Oh no. Yeah, I saw that you were working on your wood. That oak looks amazing, Dave, especially for Oak Knob Farm. But it looks really, really incredible. So You got your wood mill at the right time. They may, yeah, I mean, because now I don't think people can even find them. So the dark outside. Okay, well, Curie, let's hope you get some rain if you need it. Thanks, guys. So that's what I've been doing. I have my purple beans are about 2.5, 3 inches long, little skinny early beans right now. So I imagine within the next week, I'm going to be picking beans. It's all starting to come. And what else is going? I have little baby cucumbers, some squash. The squash and melons are all flowering like crazy. The squash is just zucchini, and so anyway, so they're starting. My peppers are all flowering like crazy, so I'm getting little baby bells. Things are they're starting to come. My basil, I'm gonna have to harvest some of that real soon because that's starting to get. It's probably 14, 15 inches high, something like that. So I have a question for those who do basil. I noticed the lemon basil and the lime basil have green stems, but the Thai basil and the cinnamon basil have reddish purplish stems. Is that the case for those two, or is it possible the cinnamon basil is actually Thai basil? I just want to make sure that those two are actually the colors that they're supposed to be, because I've had packets that have been mixed up in the last few years. So I just want to make sure what's growing is growing. You have 1,000 hemlocks. Oh no. Oh, 1,000. Oh my goodness, Dave. How many acres do you have? I don't know if I've ever asked you that. So you handed out kindergarten scissors. Sounds like folks who need to hand it. No, I've been using my Hori Hori for 2 years now, last year and this year, and I have never had a problem. So I just got a little too close to it, and I learned a lesson. Just don't get too close to my Hori Hori with the other hand. Oh, your tomatoes are taller than you. Oh my goodness. Tons of squash peppers, lots of small peppers. Ooh. Morgan, hello. How are you? Thanks for coming on. They're so sweet. Thai basil is saying, good question. Okay. Okay. Well, then I'll just go with it that Thai basil and cinnamon basil both have the reddish purplish stems on there. So I guess I will just go with that. Well, Morgan, thank you. That's so nice. Appreciate that. Goldshot Farm, you guys. Morgan Gold is right here, and I do moderate for him. So he's very kind and very very generous on his lives. So and they go fast. Even with your slow-mo on, Morgan, it's just like, I mean, just tons of questions there. So I imagine afterwards you're just like, oh, you're just like kicking back and just trying to breathe because it's like, it's just going. But Thai basil will taste like licorice, kind of. Okay. All right. I have not tasted them yet, so that'll be good to know. So other than harvesting the beans, I have to get shade cloth on those peppers because with these mid 90 to upper 90 degree temps and sun, the peppers are, just getting little babies out there. I don't want to lose them. So you're like ultimate mod ninja. Thank you. I have kind of gotten what do you call it? Title nickname is Link Ninja. So anyway, That's funny. Thank you guys. Ninja Mod. Yeah. So, okay, irrigating. There are, I started thinking about it because, well, first of all, with the drought, I think everybody is having to irrigate in some way, shape, or form because unless you're in the deep south where you've been getting a lot of rain, I don't know, but the rest of us have to do a lot of irrigating. Yeah, Link Ninja. There you go. Thanks, Julie. And so, you know, I have a smaller garden, so I just go out with I have a sprinkler tip on the end of my hose, a long wand, the sprinkle wand type of thing. And so I just am able to water within about 10 minutes. So it's not a big deal for me. With the raised beds, I am considering in the future doing some type of drip irrigation system, but it's going to be something that's going to have to be like a big setup. And now that I have all my new beds in there, I could probably do something at this point. And 2 times a day, you know what, Dave, that was the thing. I lost a lot of seeds this year. If you saw my garden tour, like some of my bunching onions were really sparse. My carrots were sparse. There were a lot of things that just didn't come up because even though I was watering like twice a day when they were all seeds in the ground, and it was just too hot. The 100-degree heat was just insane for them to not be able to germinate well, or even if they germinated, they would just like fry out right away. And it was like, I had to be out there watering like every hour in order to make sure that they got going. So in that way, certainly like a drip irrigation system would be really good to keep that soil moist all the time. New garden hoses, yeah. Well, if they're holy, that would be good for like a sprinkling system or a drip irrigation system. So anyway, I know Julie put up a really great system this last year, and it's working well for her. Matt and Sarah put in a drip system, and it's been really, really great for them. So it really helps. It uses less water, so it's better in conservation in that way, and it keeps the soil moist enough, goes all the way down to the roots, so you don't have to worry about just watering the top 3 inches of the soil and then the roots go dry, that type of thing. So yeah, soaker hoses. So there are a lot of different, I forgot to put I had a ton of links. I forgot to put those up. Here we go. I'm going to put up a couple links for different drip irrigation systems. And those are just a couple. Amazon has a ton of them. I think Stark Brothers, or I don't know. So some other companies, the regular garden companies, they have a lot of different systems. So you can always look at that. You do use a few soaker hoses. Okay. Oh, that's a good point, Dave. You to tear it out and drain it each year. That is, yeah. I may have to rethink that then, because I don't want that kind of work every fall. Oh, I'm trying to streamline things. I'm trying to get things a little simplified for myself, so I don't have to do as much work out there. So it's like a lot of work on the front end, but then years to come, so if that's going to be, I never thought about that. The nearest water source to one of your food plots is 1,000 feet away. Wow. That is a lot. So you have to really, what do you do, Ricky, then to get the water to your things, or are you just relying on Mother Nature? That's true, Dave. Yeah, my hose, it may go. So um, anyway, I want to give a little bit of different perspective on, or not perspective, but expand on what irrigation is and different things like that. So I'm going to give a little history first, which is, it was really kind of fun. Some of it I knew, some it just like kind of fleshed out a little bit more for me. So it was great. So anyway, ancient civilizations in many parts of the world practiced irrigation. In fact, civilization would probably not be possible without some form of irrigation. The earliest form probably involved people carrying buckets of water from wells or rivers to pour on their crops. Imagine doing that all day long. Whew. And the heat is like having a bucket pour. I imagine it had a yoke. I can picture that, like a yoke with the handles, and so you have a bucket on either side. So you have it across your shoulders, and you see them. I've seen pictures of them and everything, that they're walking along, and then they dump the buckets and then walk back to the well. But yeah, that would be, oh my goodness, that would be a lot. It's a lot of work. So, but then, if the wells dry up, the rivers dry up, it's like pretty tough. So there were some better techniques that developed, like in Egypt and in China. They built irrigation canals, dams, dikes, water storage facilities, different things like that. But ancient Rome built structures called aqueducts. So I need some drink here. You totally see the yolk in your... that's good. Hi, Sandy. How are you? Dave, hello. Welcome. So the aqueducts were built to carry water from snow melt in the Alps to cities and towns in the valleys below. So, that water was used for drinking, washing, and irrigation. The one thing that we have to keep in, I don't know, it sometimes irritates me that we have sometimes in real arrogance in the way of our comparing ourselves to, people in the past and everything. So where's my note? Do we think that we have greater knowledge than other civilizations that have gone before us? Or, do you think that we've got, yes, we have technology, we've got, a lot of the industrialization, all that kind of stuff and everything. But it doesn't mean that we are necessarily smarter than somebody in Egypt 3,000 years ago, or in Rome, 2,000 years ago, or whatever. And it's, there's other, other civilizations that existed, like Pompeii and everything, that they had a lot of things. They didn't have computers, like I said, the technology and everything, but they were still smart. They figured out things that had never been done before. And I think we just have to give them a whole lot of credit. So what do you say? We forget that the old folks didn't understand the say germs. Yeah, I know there's a lot of things like that, but, just like figuring out how to build the pyramids, figuring out how to, with the limited things they had, they didn't have, cranes, and they didn't have all of these other things, but figuring out, that the Romans built the aqueducts, and they, all the different things like that, and how the things that had not even been done, that they still figured out. So I think that was, hindsight. And so we've built on what they did. And so anyway, just a little side rant there. I'm sorry. So right now we do a lot of things. We use reservoirs, tanks, other aquifers, like we talked about with my town and stuff like that. There are other basins that collect snow melt. We have our water catchment systems. We have, different things like that we've been able to build, and dams and pipelines and canals and all these other kind of things that we've been able to build and to use. Now, canals and pipelines often rely on the force of gravity. So, and then you can add pumps to it to help move it from the reservoirs to the fields, and that helps too. It says, in the 20th century, the amount of irrigated land in the world doubled. An estimated 18% of the world's cropland is now irrigated. 18%. I would say around here, farmland, I would say probably goods, at least 60 to 75% have irrigators. Now, these irrigators can be like a football field long, 100 yards long. And what they are is a section of, I would say probably 20 yards or so. Yeah, 50, 60 feet, something like that. And how they work for the farm fields and everything is that they drill a well. And so they've got a deep well there, and then they have like a pivot, and it's an arch that's, like I said, 50 or 60 feet long, right in there. It's an arch, and it's on kind of not a tripod, but anyway, it's on wheels. And so this section can pivot around that well and go into a circle. And so in this arch, there's a maze of pipes and different things that are all sprinklers. So it just like sprays out on that. It's not like it's dumping it out or pouring out. It's like a mist spray kind of that goes out that way. And so however big their field is, they can add all these sections of things. So I've seen up to 5, 6 sections out here. And of course, it depends on how strong your well is flowing. Depends on how big your field is, how much ground you need to cover. If you're covering, and you can go out 300 feet and do that in a circle. That covers a pretty good area and everything. So circular watering around wellheads. Yep. So, and here we just call them irrigators. So actually the town next to me is, they've got a nickname for it, like irrigation hub of Minnesota or something. I don't know. Anyway, irrigators are very, very important around here because we have very sandy soil. And so, when we do get rain, it just kind of goes right on through. And so the irrigation is very important for us. And you're 30 miles from the main potato area. Okay, awesome. Municipal water supply gravity created by water towers. Yep. Oh, sandy now is to save my trees, but the rest of the yard is just brown and crispy. That's it. Hey, Patty and Mac, how are you? One or the other? Hello. So, so anyway, we have those, and they're going all the time right now. So, but they're kind of cool, and you can tell where the spray doesn't hit on the field. And a lot of the farmers have now started actually making, their crops. They've been doing them in a circle where the irrigators will go, so that they're not losing crops and wasting it. And they'll actually plant something else in there, maybe alfalfa or wheat or something like that doesn't need as much water as like the corn or something. And so, so it's kind of cool. But you can definitely see right now where those aren't hitting. Where they are irrigating, the corn is like 8 feet tall, 10 feet high. It's already tasseled. We're already getting ears and silk and everything. And where the water hasn't been hitting, the corn is about 2 feet tall and just dried up. And so it makes a huge difference. So says the I talked about last century that the amount of irrigation in the world doubled, and it said most of the expansion occurred in Asia, Africa, and South America. So even desert ecosystems like those in Jordan use irrigation from groundwater, wells, aquifers, that type of thing. So, Nick Red. Oh, that's cute. Hey, Green Matt. Gil, hello. How are you doing? Oh, thanks so much for being here, Morgan. I appreciate it. Have a good evening. Patty Mac. So for our gardens, we can use drip irrigation like we talked about. There is, of course, the sprinkler system. If you wanted sprinkler irrigation, that will sprinkle right over all of the, the tops of all your plants too, as well as getting the soil. That you want to try to avoid during the middle of the day because you don't want to get your plants wet and have them frying in this intense heat and sun, so yeah, Gil, we're hot too. So the one that I was talking about with the farmers is called center pivot irrigation. So it's going around that way. Some of the other things that you could do other than manually hosing your garden, drip irrigation by either drip tape or a whole, hose, drip hoses that have little holes in them, that type of thing. You can have a system that will actually have little sprinklers maybe in each bed that will just kind of go sideways. It sprays more sideways, and it can sprinkle out in an area of 2-3 feet or something from the little sprinkle head, and it can help irrigate your garden that way. If you're doing a fully in-ground garden, and I'm thinking of more of when it's really dry, like it has been at this point. But this method really helps in the areas where you get lots of rain, especially in the south. And it's like if you have an in-ground garden, to make it kind of like little swales, and just like little hills and everything. So planting up on the hills, and in the center, you can just like flood that area. Or if you get heavy rains, it'll all flood that area, but it'll help the roots when you're planting on the swales, on the upper part of things. So that's another way that if you have a lake nearby, a pond, river, or whatever, and you want to pump water into this plot of garden that you would have, you can just pump a bunch in, flood the area there, and it all goes in between your rows. And so that's a great way to do it too. That would be really quick, very effective in that way too. So I think the heads when I'm discussing low to ground spray started for landscaping, perfect for gardening. Okay, yep. One of the links I had showed that really, really well. It must have been the DripWorks kit. I'll put that link up here again. But use a garden hose, you drag all over the freaking garden. Oh. Your irrigation district is cutting off water at the end of August. Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. We got to pray for some rain. Wow. Yep, landscaping and garden irrigation, absolutely. There are a lot of things set up for landscaping, and so why not put them in your garden if that's possible, you know? So try to get those systems going if you can. Like I said, being able to pump a lot of things into like little, and it's using basically the canal system of, you think on a huge grand scale of like a city, that you get a lot of rain, but they build canals. Like LA has a lot of canals. Amsterdam has a lot of canals, you know, different things like that. And so when you get a lot of rain, it gets directed down into that. And so they will have those available when the weather's dry. They all dry up, which is not a problem, but it keeps it off the streets and out of the city type of thing, and sends it to where it needs to go. The same thing with a plot of a garden, you know, when you've got these little canals in there, it's the same technique, only on just a smaller scale. So you flood irrigating the back lawn. Okay. Oh, that's good. Takes about 2 hours to completely water it. Oh my goodness, Patty. That's huge. Yes. You know, and because you don't get, your ground doesn't freeze, you may end up you may want to consider a drip system. And if you look on Amazon, I mean, they're not all that expensive. Also, Living Traditions, Sarah and Kevin put up a video, I want to say maybe a month ago or so, on a drip irrigation system, and they gave a whole the whole video on how to set it up, and it was a great video. It was a great how-to. So anyway, that was another thing. So, but there's wild flooding, there's controlled flooding. There, you know, so again, just like flooding the field, like Gil said, he's just flooding the back here, just trying to do that. You can make furrows, like I said, are like the little canals. Subsurface irrigation. That's kind of again the technique with the furrows, like the little mini canal type thing, doing a subsurface irrigation. So it's getting into the low spots, soaking everything, so that the roots that are planted in the high spots can find their way down. It's expendable in dry weather. There you go. Absolutely, Dave. And you know what? It always ends up coming back. And if there are patches that don't, we just throw some seed out and everything. So I hear you. Your ground is squishy when you walk on it. Oh, so amazing. The difference in just in our country of the different climates. You know, I mean, going from tropics to desert to you know, to Arctic, basically. Oh my goodness. So you know, what you have to do is just find what works best for you. You know, even if you can just start and do a little bit of an area. I think the kit that Kevin and Sarah had used and put in it for, I think it's 100 feet of hose or something like that. It was like $23. So it's not horribly expensive. It depends on how much you need to put in and all this other kind of stuff. Julie, I don't remember who you got your system from, but there's things out there that can work. And you know, like I said, even if you just did a particular bed or a corner of the garden and got things started or something, and which I think would be great. So you can't even mow. It's knee high. Oh my goodness. Wow. You need goats, Mac, or a cow. Oh, Saturday friends came over to fix your fence. Kiri, I'm sure that's going to make a huge difference. One less rock. That's so great. Oh, that's so good. I love it. So I'm going to just kind of go to different areas of the world here and tell you kind of things that they do. You really do. And not the old goat that you are, Mac, right? Need a different kind of goat. I'm just teasing. How's Flash and his girlfriend? I hope they're enjoying their time together. So in Central Asia, there's a sea called the Aral Sea, Aral, and it's been almost completely emptied by irrigation. In 1918, the Soviet government decided that the two rivers that fed the Aral Sea, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya, would be diverted to irrigate crops of cotton, melons, and citrus in the deserts of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. So here they have two rivers, they're going to go into the sea, let's divert them to grow in the desert. Okay. Canals were poorly built and much of the water went to waste. Oh, it's just horrible. Just doing that and just wasting the water. Oh, thanks, Ricky. I appreciate it. So before large-scale agriculture was introduced in the 1940s, the Aral Sea had an area of 68,000 square kilometers. Today, it is 3 separate lakes because it has gone down so far that there's land in between them. So there's 3 separate lakes with fewer than 17,000 square kilometers. So the ecosystem has been nearly eliminated. The area's once thriving fishery has been destroyed. Huge fishing vessels sit abandoned in the middle of the salty desert. So Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are working with environmental organizations to preserve what is left of the Aral Sea while still allowing farmers to irrigate their crops. Kazakhstan, for example, built a dam to retain water in the North Aral Sea, one of the 3 lakes now in the area. So fish are slowly returning. Improved irrigation canals from the Amu for the 2 rivers also reduce the amount of water lost to agriculture. So they're improving things on that. So Julie got her system from Lowe's and the hardware store fairly cheap. Okay, awesome, good. Oh, you've been keeping up on that, Dave. Oh, that's so good. 20 million zillion rocks. Oh my goodness. That's funny. So India, China, and the United States have the most acreage of irrigated land. Australia has seen a boom in its agricultural production in recent decades, which means that it has also seen a huge increase in the use of irrigation. The Australian government estimates that 70% of the water used in rural Australia is used for irrigation. So officials are trying to work to help conserve their country's water resources because they've been dry too. They've been going through droughts. One thing that they do is called a 40-hour drought. It encourages people to use as little water as possible for 40 hours. Doing this shows them what it would be like if water supplies dwindled, and it's meant to reduce overall water use. So it says the earliest archaeological evidence of irrigation in farming dates back to about 6,000 BC in the Jordan River Valley. So it says irrigation was being practiced in Egypt at about the same time. And one of the things that Egypt has always done is the Nile River, there, and it actually flows north because it's like right close to the equator, but where the Nile goes, it flows north. And so each year, the Nile would flood, spilling over with water flowing down from the mountains from the south. So floodwaters could raise the Nile 45 feet over normal heights. That's huge. I mean, can you imagine 45 feet? Can you picture that? I mean, my house is like 15 feet high, maybe 20 at the peak. And I'm just like, to have that much water come flooding down from the mountains every spring. So, but then as the waters receded, the floodwaters left behind rich soil. And this soil allowed the ancient Egyptians to grow crops. So, yep, it brings all the nutrients down. And because it's in the Nile, they invented what they call the nilometer. Or you could say nilometer, but it's a nilometer. And they used that to predict the flood levels. The instrument was a method of marking the height of the Nile over the years. And they acted as an early warning system, alerting people that waters were not as high as usual, so they could prepare for a drought or for unusually high flood waters. So, yeah, way back 3000 BC, they came up with nilometers. So, anyway, the river in the Nile begins to rise in southern Egypt in early July. So just started happening. And it reaches flood stage in the vicinity of Aswan by mid-August. So it takes about 6 weeks or so. The flood then surges northward, getting to the northern end of the valley about 4 to 6 weeks later. So who we have? Oh, hi, Caitlin. Yes, Dave, that is very old. Yeah, so Kira, you have to actually build up off that rock. You can't dig down. You got to pile stuff up, make beds or something. So anyway, the flood rivers on the Nile, at its peak, the flood would cover the entire floodplain, and the waters then begin to recede by early October or late November, and then most of the valley drained dry. So then they can plant and farm all the way through the winter and the spring until the next, it becomes so dry by June and everything else like that. The one thing that they talk about even into modern times, they talk about this, but it says every June 17th, Egyptians celebrate the day. It's called the Night of the Drop. So that's when the celestial tear fell and caused the Nile to rise. So June 17th is the night of the drop, and let me see. So then again, by early July, it starts to rise. So right now they're in major rising right now, because it'll, it's not till mid-August that it hits its peak. You can't 45 feet above. Oh, that's just so much water. So anyway, they practiced a form of water management called basin irrigation. So a productive adaptation of the natural rise that followed the river. They constructed a network of earthen banks, some parallel to the river and some perpendicular to it, that formed basins of various sizes. Regulated sluices would direct floodwater into a basin where it would sit for a month or so until the soil was saturated. Then the remaining water would be drained off to a basin down gradient or to a nearby canal, and the farmers of the drained plot would plant their crops. So they didn't just like, oh, it's flooding, just let it go. They actually took it and worked with it, made canals, made these barriers, made tried to direct it where it needed to go to help them grow. And it was just, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's so great. It's so great. So they're, yes, I know. Kyria, YouTube didn't really, it wanted to double check your conversation there. Oh, that was so great. So, anyway, they did some great things. So, getting that all done. Let me see. Says for nearly 1,500 years, the Egyptian farmers cultivated about 800,000 hectares under the system of basin irrigation. The water lifting device already in use in Mesopotamia appeared in Upper Egypt sometime after 1500 BC. So they were, using the sluices and the canals, and they did all that. So that's if you have a good sized garden and you have lots and lots of water, that's something to think about and to consider, because, there are even fields around here, the farmers especially the summers that we get lots of rain, or the springs, we've had heavy snow winters, and then lots of melting, and then spring rains, and we can get a lot of flooding here in our fields. And so a lot of the farmers will actually dig canals through their fields, with a excavator, and everything. And so they'll dig these trenches 10, 12 feet deep or so. And so that allows the fields to drain right in there, and allow them to be able to plant, and, different things like that. So Mac and Patty, you may need to dig a canal through your yard for it to drain off of, or make a pond or something, so it's not just sitting in your yard. Just something to think about. Mac, I bet you'd have fun on an excavator, as long as you don't fall asleep on it, right? Yep. You guys. All right. So I will go back and put all these links up in the description below the video. And I totally forgot to do that before. So anyway, some of the types of irrigation are surface irrigation, localized, drip, sprinkler, center pivot, sub-irrigation, and manual. The whole manual labor. So anyway, my garden tip for tonight, from that's true, Julie. I don't know if we want to. I wonder who else could be there to do that for Mac. When you are finishing up a crop in your garden, let's say you've pulled all your garlic, or you've pulled your onions and everything, you have empty space in there. To help keep the soil from depleting, make sure that you plant something in there, even if it's just a cover crop of like clover or something like that. If you don't have anything to plant in there, then cover it with something in order to keep the moisture in, and keep the microbes from working, and different things like that, because you don't want it to solarize, you don't want it to go to weeds, all that kind of stuff. So try to either plant again or cover it. So oh, that's awesome, Dave. Yeah, as soon as my beans are done, I'm putting some ryegrass in there. I'm definitely doing that. All right, then my prep tip for tonight. It is summer, and normally a time for mosquitoes, although with our drought, the mosquitoes haven't been an issue here. So, but I imagine in the Northeast they're starting to be, and definitely in the South. Here we have a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, but there are cases of West Nile virus that people end up getting from being bit by mosquitoes. So Have plenty of bug repellent on hand, either a store spray or a homemade type of thing, whatever. But, and they also carry malaria in certain areas of the world, not necessarily in Minnesota. We get the West Nile virus up here. So speaking of the Nile River, yeah, we get that. But I don't know if anybody gets the... all right, Alicia, good night. So anyway, but to remember that the bone set tincture that we talked about a while back, it is a malaria remedy. So those of you who are in tropical regions and you might have a lot of mosquitoes out right now, and there's, that possibility of them carrying any of that kind of stuff, get your bone set tincture on hand and that'll do that. So yep, DEET is better than meningitis. So absolutely. I know a lot of you don't like spraying those chemicals on yourself and everything, but the alternative is like worse. Absolutely. So anyway, that is my prep tip for tonight. And you guys have been awesome. Thanks for being, so prolific in the chat and everything. That's just been so wonderful. And you guys are so great. You spray your cuffs, clothes, and you avoid your skin if you can. Absolutely. That'd be the thing. It's like wear long sleeve shirts, and then you can just spray your clothes on that kind of, so you're not actually spraying your skin. But, thanks, Alicia. Thank you, guys. All right. Well, you all take care. God bless. Always have hope. And we will see you next week. And hopefully it won't be quite as hot. Hopefully we'll have had some rain. So you guys are the best. I appreciate all my moderators, especially too. And you guys, thanks for coming on and spending your evening with me. I appreciate it. Good night.